What's going on, guys? This is Drew with the Lone Wolf. We are here with a new Mondraker test bike. There are some flammable, dangerous warning labels on here. The side says Crafty R+. We're really excited to check it out. We thought we would bring you along for the ride as we unpackage this bike and take our first look. We don't totally know what it's going to look like, but we're very excited. So follow along. We're going to get this thing opened and built up. All right, let's dig in and see what we've got. Here she is, wrapped up nicely. Made the trip from Spain in one piece, so that's a good sign. Looks to be in our favorite color, black. Let's see. Oh, she's hefty. We'll put her up in the stand, get to work. God. Oh, dude, look at this foam right here. This is a shiny, high gloss foam. Nice, high quality tape. I'm so excited about it. Look at the energy. Oh my God, my arm. I should have stretched. Please, please hurry. Okay, it's in there. I better tighten that up. Okay, now for the fun part, the unveiling. Ooh, that's definitely better than the last Mondraker e-bike we tested, which was the E-Summum? Is that what that was? Had a much blockier, fatter down tube. This is definitely a lot more streamlined looking for sure. Smaller down tube is nice. Solid welds, got the typical Mondraker head tube here with the nice pointed tubing. Solid look. It's a long top tube, huh? It is a Mondraker, I guess. Well, that's a long front end. Let's see how the back looks. Now I gotta say, I didn't totally know what bike we were getting from Mondraker, so I didn't research it. It was a bit of a surprise, so I don't know all the stats, the numbers, details, prices, or any of that, but rest assured we will do some research before we get our review done. But I am very excited to get this thing built and on the trail. Looks like they raised the stays up quite a bit, huh? That's definitely a different looking rear end than a lot of their other bikes. That's kind of trippy looking. Wow, this will be interesting to see. Okay, get the cockpit all opened up here. Get the bars, controller. That's an interesting unit. See how that mounts.
Can we see that?
Yeah.
That one's the new Bosch controller.
It has a display here that has some contact points, so you can easily have it break away if you fall. But it's a much more streamlined design. Has the stuff all in the center on the stem, and then they have this new cool kind of angular streamline controller. So
look at that. Chili Dog went to the Bosch camp, I didn't. Dude, they wrapped the crap out of these handlebars. So, Mondraker's own handlebar and stem, looks like. On point.
what fork is it?
What's up?
What fork is it?
I don't know. Let's hope it's something stiff though, huh? Oh, the suspense. Fox 36.
36 rhythm. Is it a e-bike specific one? Does it have a little sticker? Yeah, e-bike
Indeed
specific.
it is.
Sweet.
So, Fox is, they make an e-bike specific fork, which is pretty cool. Gives it a little different tune. Obviously addresses the heavier weight and demands of an e-bike. So, stiffness has been a major concern of ours on a lot of the e-bikes that we've been testing. So, you know, having, the 36 mil chassis and a heavier duty tune is definitely a nice factor when it comes to, letting these heavy bikes rip. And just the fact that we're putting in a lot more miles because the motor lets us go twice as far and ride way more often. So definitely a nice feature to have an e-bike specific fork on here. All right, so we skipped the boring parts. Front wheel, tire, and handlebars are mounted to the stem. Just dug in the box, got the rest of the components. Probably gonna be our battery charger, some owner's manual stuff. Hopefully our saddle is in there, and we'll get to working on that next. So the bike has the Bosch Gen 3 stuff on it right now, and we just pulled the battery cover off, which we'll show you real quick. And it's got the 500 watt hour battery. It is the power tube system and neatly integrated inside the frame. Quick, easily removable cover, keeps it safe, easy to access. And what we really like about that in-tube system is that it makes the bike pretty sleek and light feeling and looking. So let's check out the charger. 220 to 240. That's it. That's gonna plug in, give us our juice, get us up to the top of the hills real easy. Got our saddle. It is a Mondraker SDG collab saddle. Should be pretty good. This is definitely on the firm side, but has a nice kind of a cradled curved shape, so it might work. Something that a lot of companies are working on now is e-bike saddles, which sounds silly, but it actually is kind of like a legitimate thing, right? Because with e-bikes, you're putting in so much more time and regularly on e-bikes that having a saddle that's super comfortable kind of holds you in a little bit of a different way for the long climbs, and hours that you're spent riding, kind of makes a difference. So it's definitely been neat to see how this has evolved. Here is our display unit from Bosch. Again, that's going to mount right here on our stem. And as you can see, it's got the little pin connectors. That's going to click right in just like that. If you want to move it out, if you crash, go down, that's a very easy disconnect. So you don't have to worry too much about that breaking. Gives you a nice sturdy mounting plate. Power, lights, if you're running lights auxiliary or anything like that. Very cool unit.
All right, so while Drew fiddles with mounting the new bar controller, I'm going to talk a little bit about the new kiosk system here. So this is brand new from Bosch. This is actually our first e-bike that we've gotten with this on it. This is their new controller. So it's a 1.9-inch display, has Gorilla Glass. And then another cool feature about it is that it has a easy breakaway. So it has those contacts on there, so if you fall, it does break away from the bike really easily, so you don't have to worry about it. This keeps the display off of the bars and minimizes the bar control. So if you can see what Drew's messing with there, it's a much smaller design than their previous one. They tried to make it a little bit more ergonomic. They tipped it towards the rider's thumb to make it a little bit easier to reach. It has all the same controls as before. So that 1.9-inch kiosk display now has full color, and you use the controls over there to swipe laterally through the display options. So that will show you all the usual stuff. This screen is new. Go back, Drew. This screen is new, so you're able to have 4 parameters on the screen at once to keep track of. I know we've talked to the guys at Bosch about possibly changing those parameters, customizing them. As of right now, that is not an option, but still a cool thing that you can do and see. And it's definitely a much more streamlined way to view all the data compared to the original controller, which had the screen and the thumb controls all in one spot. So, and it's nice to have color. So we definitely really like this. It's a cool looking display. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cool stuff that's built into it. The other thing is they have low power Bluetooth compatibility built into here. So if you have a heart rate monitor or other external data sensor, this will work with those and display that on the screen. So you can have your personal information as well as the bike's information on here, which is cool. And then I know we were exploring the settings a little bit. I don't know, Drew, you were in there before, but we noticed that you're able to change wheel size on here, which is something you can do with the Brose motors on the Specialized, which lets you kind of mess with the bike's perception of your speed. So if you change the wheel size in here, the bike will either think you are going faster or slower than you're actually going, which changes where the cutout happens with the motor. So it's kind of interesting to see Bosch have that be more accessible on this bike. So we wanted to play with that for sure. But yeah, so you can change wheel circumference there, which is definitely something interesting to see that they're making that more accessible to people. So one, that does let you change between 27.5 and 29, but two, that also lets you kind of mess with it. So it's not a huge change. I mean, those are tiny increments. But
yeah, we're gonna have to reach out to Bosch and see what that's gonna change. I mean, I do believe that along with your speed rating, it might change your power delivery or torque settings a little bit, in terms of like what it's feeling, because it's gonna alter everything. Yeah,
so I'm curious to see how that plays out, but we definitely noticed that as we were cruising around in this thing. And again, this is our first time seeing this in person. So we saw this at Sea Otter, and we saw this at Interbike, but we haven't actually had a test bike in our hands with this yet. So kind of cool to actually get some time to play on it.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, my things that are already kind of bugging me about this. Maybe once I get it flat on the ground, I'll be able to find a little bit better spot. But if you see from down here, like that's way up off the bar, you know what I mean? Like that's 2 inches off the handlebar. And I don't know if my knee's gonna bump that. I don't know if I'm gonna wanna run it way in here, but it kind of interferes with the lever for the dropper post. And second, this is too long. I mean, I know everyone runs a different width bar, but I don't really know a clean way yet other than just zip tying this to the bar. Otherwise you're gonna have this kind of just flopping around here, which for the tidy bike cockpit freaks like me, like that's kind of a issue, you know what I mean?
That's not exactly something you can cut and trim. So
yeah, that's a little bit. And then again, if you run it even into here, which probably isn't going to be where it settles, it's even longer. But
yeah,
I don't know, we'll see.
So we're gonna get this bike out of the stand now, throw on a GoPro, and kind of take you guys on a little bit of a first ride. So yeah, we'll both go out and take this bike on a first ride and see what we think. So we'll catch you on the GoPro.
Stand by.